Hey guys, it's your favorite gamer here, Drunken Furies, bringing you a Diablo 2 video about magic finding and magic find breakpoints. In this video, we're going to be covering some of the top questions I get about magic find, and most importantly, are there magic find breakpoints? Be sure to check me out on twitch.tv/drunkenfuries with 1Z, where I stream weekly PD2 and LOD content. The first question we're going to start with is, how much MF should I get, or when should I stop adding MF? And my answer to that is, well, it really depends. You want to have fairly high MF, but you don't want to sacrifice kill speed. You want to kill the most amount of monsters in the least amount of time possible. More monsters killed equals more chance to drop items. For example, you don't want to take 10 minutes to do a player 7 pit run with 800 MF, when you could be running much lower MF, killing many more monsters. Also, that is one of the coolest things about Diablo. You get to make conscious choices about where you're farming, what gear you want to wear, how much MF you want. A general rule in the Diablo 2 community is get around 200 to 300 MF and then work on your kill speed. At that point, when you have pretty decent clear speed, I would start adding a little bit more MF, a little bit more MF, a little bit more MF. It's about being efficient with your time, but also having as much magic find as you possibly can have while keeping that kill speed. The second question that I get is, does magic find affect rune drops? And the answer is no. The only thing that affects rune drops is player setting, for example, players 1 compared to player 7, and killing certain types of monsters that have higher rune drop rates. For example, normal ghosts or souls can't drop items. The only things that they can drop are charms, gems, jewelry, and runes. That gives them a higher chance to drop runes when compared to other monsters. Lastly, for the third and final question, and probably the most important and the reason why I'm making this video, is, are there magic find breakpoints, and if so, what are they? My answer to that is yes, but not really in the traditional sense of breakpoints when you think of FCR and FHR that are based on frames. For example, the higher and higher breakpoints you hit, the less frames it takes to perform that action. Now, magic find obviously doesn't have anything to do with frames, but the idea behind it is the same. For example, if you have a Druid and you have 99 FCR, you're at that breakpoint, and you add on another 20 FCR, giving you 119, you're still effectively only at 99 FCR because the next breakpoint isn't till 163. The idea behind this is also kind of how MF works. There's going to be certain points where you're adding just a little bit of MF, but it's not actually giving you any benefit. We can see this by actually taking a look at the formula and understanding how your effective magic find is actually calculated. So let's jump in. Alright guys, this is the formula that is used to calculate your effective magic find in the game's code. Before we do any calculations, I'm going to explain what all the variables mean in this equation. So X is your effective magic find. This is one of the numbers that the game uses in the item drop process to determine the rarity of the item that's being dropped. MF is your actual magic find, the magic find added up from all of your gear. Y is an item factor. Now the item factor varies for uniques, for sets, and for rares. For magic items, effective magic find is equal to the magic find added up from all of your gear. Now let's do some sample calculations to help clarify this a little bit further. Let's say we have 445 MF. This is the MF added up from all our gear and charms. This goes in the place of MF in the formula. We're going to be searching for unique items. The item factor for unique items is 250. This goes in place of Y. Solve for X and we get 160.07 EMF. Once this number is calculated, the game will truncate the trailing numbers after the decimal point. Truncate means to cut off. So the 0.07 in this example will get cut off and we'll be left with a total of 160 EMF. Now let's do this for a different magic find amount. Let's say we have 453 magic find from all our gear and charms this time. This will go in place of MF once again. We will still be searching for unique items, so the item factor is still 250. Perform the calculation and we get 161.09. Just like the previous example, the 0.09 is truncated and we get a total EMF of 161. Now some of you maybe already see why these magic find breakpoints are created, and it's because of the truncation after the decimal points. Since we can only add magic find in whole numbers, like adding 5 or 6 or 7 MF at a time, we were as close to having the EMF be a whole number as possible. In example 1, 160.07 is as close to 160 as we can get while adding multiples of one magic find at a time. The same goes for the second example. To make this a little clearer, if we used 444.5 MF, which is only half an MF less than the first example, our EMF value would be 160.00 before it's truncated. Like I stated earlier, we can only add values of one magic find at a time, so having 444.5 MF is not possible. Therefore, we can have either 444, 445 MF in the first case, or 452 and 453 MF in the second case. Now, some of you may already see how these breakpoints are created, and it is because of this truncation after the decimal point. This time, let's use 452 MF and sub in for all the variables again, and we get 160.96 EMF. You may be thinking, well, it's so close to 161, it just rounds up, right? No, what you were taught in elementary school does not apply to Diablo. Like in previous calculations, this one is no different. The 0.96 is truncated, and our resulting EMF is only 160. Now, what can we take away from doing all these calculations? Well, even though in the previous case we were running at 452 MF, we concluded that we are actually hitting the same EMF value as if we were only running with 445 magic find. To put it simply, adding an additional 7 magic find to our character will still result in the same EMF of 160. When people talk about magic find breakpoints, this is what they're talking about. In some cases, like what we just saw, you can add 6 or a 7 MF small charm and it won't actually give you any benefit. This may seem trivial, but when we're talking about really optimizing a build, this stuff does matter. That 7 MF small charm could be an all-res charm or a max damage AR charm instead. It all comes down to getting the most out of your build as possible. Now, I know this was a lot, guys, to get through, but I hope this explanation helped clarify the reasoning behind these breakpoints. I will post a link in the description that includes the EMF formula, the item factor values for unique sets and rares, and a complete list of every unique MF breakpoint. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a big fat thumbs up and consider subbing because I plan to do more videos like this in the future. I also want to remind you guys that I do stream on Twitch. The link will be in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and may RNGesus bless you.